So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. Thank you for joining us as we highlight financial literacy, an issue that affects every Pennsylvanian. The ability to manage money wisely is one of the most powerful tools an individual has in order to shape their life. And when a community is filled with adults who are financially literate, they're able to help their neighbors become successful too, by creating the kind of ripple effect that we like to see as policymakers. So if we know financial literacy is so important, why is it still so out of reach for so many people? Why are so many of us vulnerable to debt and living paycheck to paycheck with no financial lifeline to fall back on in a crisis? We can look to the resolution of the 108th Congress passed in 2004 when it first recognized Financial Literacy Month in order to find the answers that we're looking for. The resolution cited a new study that revealed only 26% of young people were being taught by their parents how to manage money, and that the number of grade schools, including personal finance in their K through 12 education standards, was actually decreasing. The study also found that high school seniors know less about credit cards, less about retirement funds, and other basics that high school seniors did 5 years prior. But at the same time, 83% of college students already had at least one credit card. And finally, one of the most telling statistics revealed in the study was that the average working adult's personal savings was only about 2.3% of their income, down from almost 8% in the early 1980s. Since then, governments at every level across the country have recognized Financial Literacy Month to urge people to learn how to take care of their finances, and motivation to schools to start teaching students about financial literacy when they're young, and to create opportunities for adults to learn at any age. Because again, financial education is not just a personal benefit, it's necessary for individuals and particularly for families, and ultimately societies as a whole in order for them to thrive. We've made strides since that first Financial Literacy Month back in 2004, but the numbers are still scary. Recent data shows that 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that 28% of adults don't even have any retirement savings. That's a scary thought. We know the terms budgeting and savings are likely to be met with immediate yawns and glazed eyes when they're brought up in the classroom, whether it's seventh graders or young adults in a continuing education class. But Pennsylvania's educators prove that as long as we give them the resources and the opportunities, they can find ways to convey the necessity of financial literacy. When we think of the skills we want students in Pennsylvania to walk away with when they graduate, it must become standard for them to include skills to counter the biggest issues people struggle with financially: how to manage credit, how to recognize predatory lenders, what it means to take out a loan, and how to plan for emergencies and other major life expenses. We must impress upon students, parents, and educators that an individual's ability to financially plan effectively for their retirement begins when they're still in grade school. That's why I am proud to support naming April 2025 as Financial Literacy Month here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This designation is more than symbolic. It is a call to action. It encourages schools to integrate financial education into their curricula and urges community organizations to expand their outreach efforts. It reminds policymakers of our responsibility to make sure Pennsylvanians have the resources they need to learn financial stability. Through bipartisan cooperation, we must work to expand financial literacy programs, improve access to education resources, and ensure that every citizen has the knowledge they need to make informed financial decisions. A law we passed in 2023 is a great example of the cooperation and action we need. Act 35 of 2023 requires all public Pennsylvania high schools to provide students with the financial literacy course that they must take in order to graduate, starting in the 2026-2027 school year. Financial security should not be a privilege. It should be an achievable goal for everyone. I'm proud to be working with fellow policymakers like the people you see up here today to ensure that framework is in place for Pennsylvania. And I invite everyone here today to join us in this effort, whether by hosting financial literacy workshops, mentoring young people, or advocating for stronger financial education policies. We can all play a role in strengthening Pennsylvania's financial future. And with that, I would like to introduce to you Auditor General DeFoor. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hill Evans. And it's Financial Literacy Month. And financial literacy is something that I've been passionate about for nearly a decade. It started when, as Dauphin County Controller, I was asked to speak to college students about my career in government and about government finance. Afterwards, I asked if there were any questions. And every question the students asked was about their own personal finance. So when I took office as the Auditor General, I knew that financial literacy was something I wanted to advocate for. We started by creating our Be Money Smart Financial Literacy Initiative as a way to raise awareness about the need for financial literacy education in Pennsylvania and to highlight the work of others. Be Money Smart has had an impact over the past 4 years, and we are proud of the conversations that are happening across the state regarding the need for financial literacy. Through Be Money Smart and other initiatives, we visited all 14 past universities, our 4 state-related universities, including our 2 HBCUs, and our 15 community colleges. We visited high schools who have been going above and beyond to teach financial literacy to their students. In some cases, they've been doing it for over a decade. We've partnered on a statewide financial literacy competition, and we've provided financial tips for children and adults through our virtual Money Smart Mondays. We've also created a network of more than 100 community partners who are either teaching financial literacy or want to help us with our mission. When we first started Be Money Smart, there was no statewide requirement for Pennsylvania schools to offer any kind of financial literacy education to their students. So we set out to advocate for legislation to be passed. Shortly thereafter, Act 35 of 2023 was passed. This piece of legislation requires all public schools to teach a half a credit of financial literacy to high school students starting in school year 2026-2027, making Pennsylvania the 26th state in the country to make financial literacy a high school graduation requirement. We've accomplished a lot since 2021. However, more work needs to be done to ensure all students, as early as kindergarten, are getting the necessary tools to be financially successful. I always say, it's never too early to start learning about financial literacy. And one of the most important lessons a person can learn to set themselves up for future financial success. Remember, financial literacy, it isn't just a skill, it's a life skill. I'd like to thank Representative Hill Evans for being an advocate and recognizing the importance of financial literacy through her resolution declaring that April is Financial Literacy Month in Pennsylvania. And one of the things that I love about my position is that I get to work with some amazing people who are making a difference in the community. And a lot of them are on this stage. I want to thank you for being here. Now I'd like to introduce Ryan Unger, President and CEO of the Harrisburg Regional Chamber and CREDIC.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Representative. Again, my name is Ryan Unger. I'm the President and CEO of the Harrisburg Regional Chamber in Creedic. And we recognize the critical importance that financial literacy plays not only in our communities, but in our business community as well. We know that nearly 50% of U.S. adults lack financial literacy that impact their ability to make sound financial decisions. It costs our country $388 billion a year due to the lack of financial literacy. It's correlated also with income, as only 28% of Americans earning less than $25,000 per year can be considered financially literate. And we saw this firsthand. Our work in the Chamber in Creedic during the pandemic put us face to face with businesses that needed to understand their finances and where they stood. And we were surprised and somewhat dismayed at times when businesses had lacked some basic financial sound literacy and an understanding of how to get themselves through these tough times. So we've taken it upon ourselves to be partners with the General and the Representative, try to push forth resources that we think can address this in our communities and in our business community. We have a program we call CBW Plus, our Chamber Business Women Plus. All members are invited to it. Just last month, we held a session talking about managing your finances, understanding your role in managing finances. And even the speaker that spoke that day raised their hand and said, yes, I signed up for a credit card in high school, right? So it's something that impacts all of us, and we all have a story to tell and a path to take in this work. We also do work with business boot camps, trying to help businesses really understand their own personal financial situation before they start their business as well. And lastly, just last month, I had an opportunity to be in Washington, D.C., with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. One of the things we think this opportunity of having financial literacy as a requirement springboards the opportunity to integrate business classes at a higher level, launching AP Business as a course in our high schools. But you can't get there unless you have basic financial literacy. So we appreciate the leadership that the General and the Representative have taken, and we're excited to be a partner and look forward to 26-27 when the legislation is enacted. Thank you. It gives me a great honor to introduce my friend and a great partner and leader here in the Commonwealth, Alex Halper, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs at the Pennsylvania Chamber. Alex?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan, and always a pleasure to partner with the Harrisburg Chamber. Ryan and your team do an incredible job working on behalf of the business community and residents of the Harrisburg region, and we appreciate it very much. It's a real honor for me to join this group. I want to thank Auditor General DeFoor and Representative Hill Evans for your tremendous leadership and advocacy on this very critical topic of promoting financial literacy. The Pennsylvania Chamber, as the statewide Chamber of Commerce, represents about 10,000 employers throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are very fortunate as Pennsylvanians, all of us, to have an incredibly diverse economy, different industry sectors, employers of different sizes. But when we think about employers in Pennsylvania, one of the common themes, if you're running a business, if you're an employer, is critical financial literacy skills of managing a budget, of understanding how to read a financial statement, of understanding debt and loans. These are critical skills not only for individuals, but to reiterate Ryan's point, these are critical skills for businesses, for employers, for employees. Our mission at the PA Chamber is for Pennsylvania to make Pennsylvania the greatest state in the country to do business. And an absolute requirement for us to achieve that goal is for Pennsylvanians to have a really strong foundation in financial literacy that must be promoted at the earliest stages of their education. I really want to thank the Auditor General and Representative Hill Evans, not only on behalf of the business community of Pennsylvania and the PA Chamber, but personally as a father. I have a daughter who will be a freshman in high school next year. And my wife and I attended the orientation just last month, talking about the courses that students would be taking during their freshman year and during their high school their high school education. And I heard and I saw a very tangible example of the impact of the advocacy that these lawmakers, that Representative Hill Evans and her colleagues in the legislature, the Auditor General is a champion, a real tangible example of their advocacy when the principal leading the orientation said that all students will be taking a financial literacy course. And you know what I saw looking around the room? And I, of course, thought, oh, yeah, they did pass that. This is the work that's happening in Harrisburg, coming into the real world in school districts. But I looked around and I saw a lot of my fellow parents nodding their heads. I heard a lot of people saying, gosh, I wish they had courses like that in high school when I was a kid. That should have been a requirement. The work that is happening here in the Capitol and through the leadership of champions like the Auditor General, like Representative Hill Evans, is making a real impact. So I want to thank them again on behalf of the PA Chamber and on behalf of parents all over Pennsylvania whose kids will get a leg up, will hit the ground running in their for their financial literacy journey going forward. So thank you for inviting me to be here today, and I'm happy to turn it back over to the representative. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes our remarks for this afternoon. And at this point, if you have any questions, which I hope you don't, but if you do, we are here to answer them. Thank you.
Do you guys have a status update? This law was passed in 2023. It's going into effect in 2026-27. How many schools are already offering financial literacy? How many are we still trying to get caught up and ready for this deadline next year?
I don't know if anyone here might have that answer. I don't. Do you? Please.
I don't have a specific answer, but one of the things that I can tell you is that since we kicked off our Be Money Smart initiative, we've crisscrossed the state. We've gone from Erie to Scranton to Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. There have been schools, we visited at least 20 schools that have been doing it in some cases for well over a decade. So a lot of the school districts are way ahead of the curve. They saw the need. And as you heard me say in my comments, that they felt that financial literacy is a life skill. Because thinking, how are we preparing the next generation? The students that are being graduated from our schools, how are we setting them off into the real world? Whether they're going to get a job, whether they are going to go to college. If they have a student loan, do they understand their student loan? Do they understand how to save? Do they understand credit? So how are we preparing them? So that was the feedback that I got from a lot of schools that we visited. And they just felt that it was something that they needed to do. So, but as far as a specific number, that I don't know. I can tell you there's a lot.
Questions?
I guess the only other thing that comes to mind is cryptocurrency continues to get more and more just kind of out in the public sphere. Has that ever been brought up to you all as something that will be included in classes? Have you seen more adults and businesses being like, what is this whole new sphere of finances that we're talking about?
As an adult who knows nothing about cryptocurrency, I know that it exists, and I don't know exactly what those curriculums will be, but they will be set by the individual school districts, school board members, for them to set their curriculum and include whatever they want to include, as long as it's that at least half credit that everybody takes. It's really kind of wide open. I hope that what they do is teach them the basics, because the basics will help you to understand when these new ideas come in. And you'll already have the basics, so it would be kind of easy, to morph into that. So I don't know the specific answer to that, but I have no doubt that it will be included, because it is something that is here, and our students need to know about it, as well as adults. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.